Overcoming my first layoff. In clip one, I shared how I was able to get started in my career journey. The key takeaway from that clip was to look into job training / workforce development programs. So if you have not had a chance to listen to clip one, I highly encourage you to do so. For clip two, I am going to share how I was able to overcome my first layoff and get myself back into the game. At the end of clip one, I ended with being hired by a top employer. So I was hired as a customer service representative. And in the job training program that I went through, customer service skills was a big deal. So we were trained day in and day out on how to be a successful customer service representative. So when I made the transition into the role, it was smooth because I was able to take all the skills that I learned from the program and implement it into my new role. A year in, I was promoted to a senior customer service representative. And in that role, I pretty much was an assistant to the supervisor. So I assisted newcomers to get acquainted into their roles and also to become successful representative. Looking back, I'm actually glad that I was able to start my first role as a customer service representative because I see how those skills, I was able to apply them in each role that I had thereafter. So I'm definitely grateful for having that opportunity through the job training program and being able to pick up those skills early on in my career. Some of the things that I've learned as a customer service representative is conflict resolution skills, how to speak with people from different backgrounds, how to use active listening skills. So a lot of those different skills are lifelong skills that I use continually throughout my career. After I was promoted to the senior customer service representative, I decided I wanted to try something different. So I branched out to another department and I was hired as a consumer credit counseling service representative. 6 months into that role, the company announced that they were going to do a company-wide layoff. So I'm about 22 years old at this time, and I'm not understanding too much about this layoff. I didn't know all the details around it. So a lot of the older co-workers had to explain to me what was going on. Of course, the company did a meeting and gave us a rundown of how things would progress and how they would eventually phase out. I was one of the chosen ones to stay after and be able to work a little bit longer past the initial end date. So I stayed all the way until the company, basically until the wheels came off. So during that transition, it from being employed to not being employed and being on unemployment, it was not a smooth transition for me. One, because I was a little bit shocked because things were running so smoothly for the last 3 years in my career. As I mentioned in clip one, I talked about how I had a plan and my plan was to go into the workforce and things like that. So my plan was actually working. Everything was moving along exactly as I thought in my mind. I was able to get my first apartment. I was able to get me a new car. Now I'm laid off. I'm applying for jobs and I'm not getting any hits. I had to end up moving back in with my mom because I wasn't able to continue to pay the bills like I was before, and things were different for me. So I continued to apply for different roles. I still wasn't able to get any hits. At the end of my unemployment, a couple weeks before it was over, I was getting really nervous and I was starting to get discouraged even more. And I really believe at the time, the reason why I wasn't getting as many hits is because there were so many people that was employed with this company, and they also were applying for different jobs. So I didn't have the skills that they had. I didn't have the experience that they had. So when it came to applying for different jobs, they were the ones who were getting the jobs and not myself because I didn't have as much experience and as many skill sets than those individuals So what I decided to do is I just decided to apply for any job at this point because I was starting to get to the point where I wasn't going to end up getting any income. So I started applying for jobs online that pretty much I didn't have too much of a skill set in, but I said, hey, what do I have to lose? So I ended up applying for this one position. I ended up going into the interview. I did horrible in the interview because I didn't really know that line of work, but they still ended up giving me a chance and hiring me. And I'll talk about that position in clip 3. The key takeaway for this clip here is to do not get discouraged when it comes to a layoff. With COVID, so many people are out of work. So many people have experienced a layoff. For many, this is not the first time, so it's not as surprising. So you kind of have a handle on how things will move forward. But if this is your first layoff, please don't get discouraged. Please don't beat yourself up. Please don't think that you're not good enough or that you're never going to get hired. Right now, my advice, and I usually offer the opposite to people, is I usually tell people only apply for jobs that you're interested in. Don't apply for anything else outside of what you're interested in. But if you have to put food on your table and you are to the point where you have no income, or you're going to get to the point where you have no income pretty soon, you have to start applying for jobs that you typically wouldn't do or you typically wouldn't apply for. Until you're able to find a job that you really are secure in and that you really want to do, you have to start applying for jobs that you probably most likely wouldn't want to do. Start off in that job. You never know where that job will lead you to. And I will share more information about the job that I took on and how it opened up doors for me. So definitely do not give up. I know that it sounds easier. It sounds easier said than done, but I'm telling you that you will be able to overcome this and things will start to look ahead for you. So, bye.